There's a lot of design there, there's a lot of interaction there. So, and if you look at our packaging, there's a lot of detail in there as well. We started experimenting with it and we saw people reacting to it quite well.
What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Open my eyes. Well, when it comes to technology, three things: relevance, speed, and agility. We are trying to develop apps that keep people better connected with the brand. All our stores are what we call multi-sensory experiences and not where you come to buy product.
Welcome to the first episode of TechVerse, where we talk about the intersection of technology and human progress. In this podcast, we will talk about how innovations shape our lives, transform industries, and even take a look at how they are solving challenges that we face day to day. Think of this podcast as your guide to tech, from groundbreaking tech innovations to quirky everyday gadgets that make our lives that much easier. We are here to talk about everything tech and feature visionaries who are champions for change in these industries, all with the hope that you will take that leap of faith into the world of tech. Well, we're starting our first ever episode with a bang, and we're joined by none other than the co-founder of Spa Ceylon, luxury Ayurveda and wellness, Shalin Balasuriya. Shalin, Spa Ceylon is a brand that is not only deep-rooted in our culture, it is also a brand that as of recent has been a frontrunner in bringing in cutting-edge technology into your field of expertise and the industry. What has that been like?
Well, Spa Ceylon is very much an experience-based brand. And we've always pushed to give our consumers new experiences with every product, with every piece of packaging, with every store. Like all our stores are what we call multi-sensory experiences and not where you come to buy product. So we've taken it a little further now, immersing people in the brand through technology, where we brought in technology through augmented reality, virtual reality, CGI, just to take that brand experience a touch further. And we'll continue to keep integrating technology to take people that extra little step so that they start feeling things that are beyond the ordinary and really connect with the brand.
Speaking of Spa Ceylon, once again, it's quite an unusual match to have technology and tradition put together. But as of recent, Spa Ceylon is a brand that is quite well known. It's a global brand. It's no longer local. And your recent store was opened in Jeddah. So how has this expansion been like?
Expansion has been great. I mean, look, we created Spa Ceylon to have the legs to go international. So it was very purposefully created as to become a global brand. We are now over 143 stores across 32 countries and still growing. And the fact that we've been unique in our offering in terms of colors, in terms of ingredients, in terms of taking the science of Ayurveda from this beautiful island home of ours out to the world has really helped. And the global expansion is going great. And in a world that's looking for things that are different, in a world that's looking for things that are unique, we are standing out quite well, and it's really helping.
How important has technology been in this whole process? I'm sure it has played a good amount in this.
Technology is playing an amazing role. I mean, from your basics now, which is like your e-commerce, going into then your social media, your digital advertising. Those are basics now, but for a smaller brand going international, those allow a lot of options in terms of how to enter markets, from market research to entering the market. You can do a lot of things digitally now. You can create brand experiences digitally without really being in a country. We do a lot of work for multiple countries from Sri Lanka, so that communication helps. So technology has really enabled us to reach further and wider on an ongoing basis on one level. And on the other level is that connection with the consumer. And that's where we are very experience heavy, and bringing in new technology to take those experiences to a consumer has really been helpful.
Shalin, adding on to that question, some businesses, especially businesses that are deep rooted with culture and tradition, are a little averse from getting into this field of tech or using technology in their businesses to sort of for their advancement. What is really the bottleneck there?
Well, I think it's not knowing how to connect technology to what they're doing, or being uncomfortable with connecting technology. Now, we come from industry, or we come from a science that's very traditional, and one would think that bringing technology in would dilute it somehow, but it's how you use the technology without diluting the science or the cultural aspects of it, because we are very cultural heavy. We've got the science of Ayurveda woven in pretty deep, but technology is the connector. And in this day and age, in the world we live in, if you're not using technology to connect to people who are constantly connected to technology, then you're going to have a problem. So it's understanding how to use your technology without compromising your brand, essentially. That's pretty good coffee, by the way.
Thank you. I'm told it's Lavazza.
Okay.
Shalin, augmented reality is something that's quite literally taking up any industry by storm these days. While not a lot of companies are comfortable with augmented reality, Spa Ceylon seems to be quite effortless and seamless in integrating augmented reality. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Spa Ceylon is a very design-heavy brand, very experience-heavy brand. Even if you walk into a store, there's a lot of design there, there's a lot of interaction there. So, and if you look at our packaging, there's a lot of detail in there as well. So bringing those details to life, bringing the stories about the product to life through augmented reality is a really nice way to ensure that connection goes one more step. And we started experimenting with it, and we saw people reacting to it quite well. And that's basically it. So anything we can do to strengthen that connection between between the experience we're trying to create and our consumer, we will do. And augmented reality, because we are so design heavy, and given the birth of stories we have to tell about the products and the ingredients and the science, is a really nice way to bring that all together.
Just another follow-up to that as well. In terms of your expertise and experience, how long do you think a trend in beauty lasts?
Oh, it could be anything from a couple of days to a year, maybe longer. Look, if you take going green as a trend, this is something we started with when we launched Spa Ceylon, which was 15 years ago. It's something that we thought about and looked at before we started thinking about it, which is 20 years ago, and still going. But if you look at ingredient trends, they're changing all the time. If you look at the way people are using product, it's changing all the time. It changes based on people's lifestyles, so on and so forth. So you can't really put your finger on it and say, hey, this one's going to last, this one's not going to last. It depends on how agile you are to incorporate that trend into the way you build products, or the way you interact with customers, or the way you service customers. And if you are agile enough to do it, it's a great advantage. And given the kind of company we are, because from concept to formulation to production to marketing, everything is done by us. So we are very well geared to keep up with trends and keep creating new products and services to really, really capture that.
What are some of these trends that we can sort of keep an eye out for in the next few years?
Oh, that's an impossible question to answer. The trends work in multiple ways. There are trends that are brought on by the consumers themselves in the way they change the way they conduct their lives. There was a time people were going out more. There's time, COVID, for instance, where people spend a lot of time inside. That brought forward trends, and then the whole things around germs and dust and being ultra cautious brought around trends. Then so consumer behavior brings some trends forward. Then there are trends that are brought on by ingredients. There are new ingredient discoveries, there are rediscoveries of old ingredients, and then there are trends that come on that way. Then there are trends that are brought on by brands themselves. One brand could start it, a couple of brands could jump on it, and suddenly it's a trend. So it's difficult to say, hey, keep your eye out for this. It's difficult to say this is going to do well. As a brand, it's good to understand what could become a trend and really start working on it, looking at consumer behavior, but it's almost impossible to say this is how long this is going to last.
So Shalin, speaking about tech trends, what sort of tech trends is Spa Ceylon using to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, straight up on the marketing front, we're doing augmented reality, we're doing virtual reality. We are trying to develop apps that keep people better connected with the brand on one side. On the other side, I think what's happening is the consumers are far more connected with their wearables, with their phones and so on, which gives them a lot of data about their health and wellness. So we're using that data to give them products that help them to maintain their wearables. So the way we look at technology is keeping very agile and realizing what information is giving the consumers and how we can use that to properly fulfill their needs.
It really sounds like technology is key in sort of championing for change, growth, and innovation. What can you tell a potential entrepreneur or an innovator who is tuning in right now about leveraging technology?
Well, when it comes to technology, I think three things: relevance, speed, and agility. You need to figure out how that piece of technology is relevant to your industry or to your product and service, and how it's going to help you connect with your consumer, because that's where everything lies. The next one is speed. How can you be the first to get on it? Because the faster you get into technology, it lets you structure it in a way that it really becomes meaningful to your brand or your service or your product. The third is agility, understanding that technology is changing and you have to change the way you operate. This is something a lot of people have trouble with, changing the way you operate. We saw what happened to all of us during COVID when we suddenly had to go online, and that really transformed the way we did business. So speed, agility, and relevance are the things people need to look out for and use technology the best they can.
All right, we've had some interesting conversations so far. It's time to shift the gears a little bit and move on to something a little bit more fun.
Sounds good.
All right, Shalin, it's the rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yep, fire away.
We're playing some foosball as well. Are you an expert?
I can try.
We'll see. Well, what is a piece of technology that you can't live without?
Mobile phone.
And what is a futuristic technology that you want to use for your brand?
Some sort of technology that allows us to transmit fragrance across the internet.
A wellness ritual that you swear by?
Ultimate body ritual, let's pass it on.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee always.
And if you were to describe Spa Ceylon with a song, what would it be?
Show me heaven.
Amazing. If you were to have a superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Okay, interesting. And what is one piece of advice you would give to a young entrepreneur?
Learn.
If you were to collaborate with one tech company, who would it be?
Meta.
What's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
Open my eyes.
Final question. What's one gadget you cannot live without?
My mobile phone.
Lovely. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Orel IT, our tech partner, as well as Colombo Coffee Company, our beverage partner. So Shalin, what sort of final words of wisdom do you have for our young entrepreneurs?
Well, something I always say, keep learning, keep evolving. That's the key to staying ahead of the game in the world we live in. It's so fast-paced and changing so often, you must learn and evolve.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shalin. It was truly insightful to understand how tech is so seamlessly embedded into Spa Ceylon and all that you do as a brand to innovate and grow in the space of wellness along with tech.
Thank you for having me.
Shalin, we also have an interesting gift for you. This is from all of us at TechVerse. It's a terrarium. I hope you are aware of what a terrarium is. It lives on, just like how this podcast will be. It'll live on, and something that you can remember, cherish, nurture, and keep forever.
Thank you. Fantastic.
That's not all. We also have another gift for you by our lovely sponsor, our beverage partner, Colombo Coffee Company, because you are such a huge fan of drinking coffee. I hope you thoroughly enjoy this.
Thank you very much.
Shalin, before you leave, I want you to place your signature on this mug, which will be a memento for us to see who will be placing their all-important signatures throughout this season on this mug.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes. To our listeners, if you loved this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and stay connected with us on our social media platforms. TechVerse is your ultimate guide to tech innovation, and we are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as YouTube Podcasts. Until next time, keep searching for the transformative power of technology. TechVerse, fueling your tech curiosity.